Well, thank you very much indeed, Mark, for that challenging and fascinating overview. I think I speak on behalf of all of us here in saying this is a wonderful way to end our conference and to send us off with an agenda which you've done a great deal to identify and characterize. Now, if I could, I'll ask various individual members to put questions to you, and you decide whether you answer them one by one or whether you group them. We've got 8 altogether. I don't know if we'll get through that, but we'll see how we get on. And the first one is Malcolm Savage from Reigate, and he'll put his question now.
Thanks a lot. Mark, this conference has given its unanimous support to the Schultz, Kissinger, Nunn, Perry initiative on nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament, and I think we would see that as a major campaigning priority for UNA. I wonder if we could ask you to comment generally, not just on the British government's response to the initiative, but what you think the prospects are for positive responses from the United States and the wider international community.
Why don't we take the first 3 questions and then we'll have a better shot of getting through them all.
Right. The next one is Trevor Evans from Harpenden.
Thank you. And I was interested to hear your comments about the prospects for reform of the Security Council. And I was wondering if you might say a little bit more about the extent to which the UK government is actually working towards that reform, the nature of that reform that you're hoping for. And perhaps you can suggest to us whether there's anything we can do to help promote that reform. Thank you.
And the third questioner is Neville Grant from London and South East Region.
Thank you, sir. What obstacles do you see to developing an effective strategy for dealing internationally with climate change? And do you see contraction and convergence as a possible route? And do you have any hope of actually solving this problem within the next 2 years?
I know politicians are supposed to say they can solve anything within 2 years, but I'm such a new politician, I haven't quite reached that point yet. So let me maybe take them in order, though. So Malcolm's first. I think the most important point about this new initiative on nuclear disarmament is who its authors are. When you get the absolute older statesmen of the American security establishment, people who were leaders during the period of the Cold War, coming up and with such a clear clarion call for nuclear disarmament, perhaps ultimately reaching the point of complete disarmament, you know, it's very, very hard for them to be outflanked on the right. And I think it's very striking that just this week in Los Angeles, in his first major foreign policy address in the United States as the Republican nominee, John McCain talked about a large measure of nuclear disarmament. He fell short of the complete goals of the initiative. But I had an opportunity to talk briefly with Sam Nunn and George Shultz, who were here in London with Shirley Williams, who was hosting them here as part of the initiative. And you know, I think they recognise that by having such set as stretch a target as they have, you know, in a sense, they're making it easier for politicians in power around the world to do a lot more than they would otherwise have been able to do, even if it's going to take a long while and probably a transformation of trust in the world before you're going to get to the ultimate goal of their initiative. But I think they've completely changed the nature of the argument by what they have done. And I myself am going to be going in a few weeks' time to a session that they have organized in Geneva to speak on behalf of the British government, because I want to give it all the support you know, we can. I think our position will, in policy terms, be like probably a number of others, which is completely supporting the objectives, not being able at this stage to say that we would incorporate particularly the most ambitious into current policy, but that these are objectives to work towards, and that they certainly allow, one, a renewal of reducing nuclear arsenals, and second, put new energy into renewing the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. And if we could get those two objectives moving strongly forward, that would already be a huge gain over the situation that we are currently in.